Hello students, in the last period we had a great discussion about the romantic movement in England. We know that romanticism is a withdrawal from the outer experience to concentrate upon the inner experience. Romanticism has been defined by Goethe as the German poet. When it has been compared with classicism, he says romanticism is a disease and classicism is health. The evening walk, they are very interesting. You have noticed that. Now we'll be shifting to Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So he was Wordsworth's closest colleague and a collaborator, a powerful man, an intellectual whose work was often influenced by contemporary ideas about science and philosophy. You'll be just moved away when you observe the Coleridge works. He is one of the chief protagonists of romantic poetry, and the quality of Coleridge's poetic genius does not suggest long life. It's like superb sunrise that's bound by the laws of its being to fade into the light of the common days. For it draws its substance from the mysterious of lights, the meeting of lights and morning, and with dissipation of nocturnal mystery, that is the natural mysteries, its magic weakened and dissipated. And you find the main characteristics of Coleridge. There is mystery and supernatural. His poetry is intensely imaginative. It exploits the varied supernatural and the obscure. The very center of Coleridge's imagination lies in the faculty of evoking mystery of things. Coleridge wrote in Biographia Literaria, it's one of his work. It was agreed that my endeavor should be directed to persons and characters, supernatural or at least romantics, yet so far to transform from animal nature a human nature and a semblance of the truth sufficient to procure for these shadows of imagination that willing of suspense of disbelief for the moment which constitutes the poetic faith. His work, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, is a poem founded entirely on these supernatural elements. Then you have Christabel of Him and Kubla Khan, which have been filled with the poetic fragments deal with the supernatural elements. Then he had a love for the nature. Like all romantic poets, Coleridge loved nature. He loved nature for her own sake, and his love took almost the form of worship, for he saw beyond all the phenomena of nature the veiled presence of the God. Nature was alive in God, and each of her forms, the flower, the river, the mountain, informed by a distinct spirit, had a distinct life of its own. This idea forms the basis of the ancient mariner, where the guilty mariner is punished by avenging spirit and then is redeemed by the seraph hand. So you find in Ode of Destruction, he says, "O lady, we receive what we give, and in our life does nature live." So very interesting lines. So Coleridge's nature poetry is conspicuous for subtle and minute observation of the scenic beauty of the nature. He painted the outward forms of the nature with a degree of delicacy to which neither Wordsworth himself nor perhaps any other worshipper of nature, Keats excepted, every quiet attained. He had a sense of color comparable to that of Keats' poetry and Turner in painting, for example. Some examples: the thin grey cloud in speed on high, the one red leaf, the last of his clan. So there is a dreaminess. Imaginative faculty was at its height when he has escaped from reality into the mystic world of dreams. So again you can give the example of Ancient Mariner, Kristalla and Kubla Khan here. So his works: The Destiny of Nations, The Rime of Ancient Mariner, Kubla Khan, Frost at Midnight, and France, and Ode Destruction. He is also known for the metrical art. He is a gifted poetical artist. He is most musical. No poet has ever excelled him in the witchery of music. According to him, he is always a singer and shows a greater sensitiveness to music than any English poet, except Milton. Music comes spontaneously. Spontaneously means immediately, without any obstacle or whatever feel that we are expressing, and naturally to Coleridge. He used various devices to create music. First, he creates music by the skillful use of vowel sounds. Secondly, words and phrases instinctively selected for their sound value are so placed that do not only create music in the lines where they occur. He employed the old ballad in the meter. He imparted lyric intensity and dramatic scenes. He reproduced the homely diction of medieval balladry with a skill greater than of Scott. Like day after day, we suck. Alone, alone, all alone, alone on a wide, wide sea. And we have his famous lines like, water, water everywhere, but not the top of the tree. So, Coleridge's words are very heart-touching. Both of them, Wordsworth and Coleridge, together with the publication of lyrical ballads, started this romantic period. Okay, thank you. We'll continue it in the next class.